Stop worrying. Trust God to make a way for you. Life will always give you moments where you feel stuck. The bills are piling up, the doors seem closed, the people you counted on turned their backs, and in those moments, worry starts to eat at your peace. But let me tell you something. Worry has never paid a bill, never healed a sickness, never opened a door. Worry only paralyzes, but faith activates. When you stop worrying and trust God, He begins to make a way where there is no way. He takes you from the valley to the mountain. He shows you that His plan is bigger than your pain. Worry drains, faith restores. Worry is like a thief. It sneaks into your mind late at night. It robs you of sleep. It whispers worst case scenarios into your ear until you're exhausted. And the more you feed it, the more it grows. Worry never solves problems. It only multiplies them. Every time you sit and replay that situation over and over in your head, you are draining your energy. You are wasting your strength on something that faith could restore in seconds. See, worry takes, faith gives. Think about it. When was the last time worry paid a bill for you? When was the last time worry opened a door? When was the last time worry healed a wound? Never. But when you trusted God, doors opened. When you trusted God, healing came. The reason so many people stay stuck is because they've invested more in fear than in faith. They spend hours imagining what could go wrong instead of believing what could go right. That's why they're tired, restless, and frustrated. Faith is the opposite of worry. Where worry says it's over, faith says it's just beginning. Where worry says there's no way, faith says God will make a way. Where worry says you're weak, faith says you are strong in Him. Worry makes you look down, faith makes you look up. Worry makes you feel small, faith makes you realize you serve a big God. Worry makes you give up, faith makes you keep moving. You've got to understand something powerful. God never intended for you to carry the weight of life on your own shoulders. That's why worry feels so heavy. It's not your load to carry in the first place. When you start trusting God with what you can't control, you begin to feel lighter. The anxiety starts to fade. The fear starts to dissolve. Your peace returns. That's what faith does. It restores what worry drained. Worry will age you before your time. It will put lines on your face, sickness in your body, and heaviness in your heart. But faith will renew your youth, give you energy you thought you lost, and put joy back into your days. Too many people are walking around looking alive but spiritually drained. That's because they've been feeding worry instead of feeding faith. Whatever you feed grows. If you feed your faith, your peace grows. If you feed your worry, your fear grows. Faith doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you trust God in the middle of it. It means even when the facts look bad, you know the truth is still in your favor. Faith restores your hope when circumstances are screaming, it's over. When you switch from worry to faith, you switch from defeat to victory. Worry says you're drowning, but faith reminds you that you were built to walk on water. Worry says you're losing, but faith tells you that God is setting you up to win. Don't let worry have the last word in your life. Every time it rises up, speak faith louder. Say to yourself, God's got this. He's making a way. He's not done with me. That's how you shut worry down and restore your strength. Faith is like fuel. Every time you lean into it, it ignites power inside of you. It gives you the courage to take another step, the wisdom to wait another day, and the peace to trust that everything is going to work out in your favor. Worry drains your life drop by drop, but faith restores you cup by cup. And if you start drinking from the cup of faith every day, you'll see God do things in your life that worry could never even dream of touching. Your delay is not your denial. One of the biggest traps people fall into is mistaking delay for denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Delay doesn't mean God forgot you. Delay doesn't mean you're not worthy. Delay simply means the timing isn't ready. Think about a seed. You plant it in the ground, you water it, but you don't see results the next morning. You don't walk out to your garden after one night and say, "Well, I guess that seed is dead." No, you understand it's still in the process. The same is true for your dreams, your healing, your breakthrough. The problem is, most people give up during the waiting period. They throw in the towel when they don't see instant results. But just because the door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean God isn't working behind the scenes to prepare it. You see, delay is actually a blessing in disguise. If everything came instantly, you wouldn't appreciate it. If you got everything you asked for the moment you asked for it, you wouldn't have the character to sustain it. Delay builds patience. Delay builds faith. Delay builds strength. Some of the greatest blessings in life come after a season of delay. That's why you've got to stop crying over what hasn't happened yet and start preparing for when it does. The delay is only positioning you for the bigger thing God has in store. There's a difference between waiting in frustration and waiting in faith. Waiting in frustration drains you, but waiting in faith restores you. Waiting in frustration says, "Why me? Why not now?" But waiting in faith says, "I don't know when, but I do know God will." The delay is not denial, it's development. God is developing your character, your mindset, your endurance. He's teaching you how to handle pressure. Because if you can't handle the delay, how will you handle the blessing when it comes? Think about all the times you wanted something before you were ready. If God had given it to you then, it would have crushed you. But because He delayed it, He gave you the maturity and strength to actually keep it when it finally arrived. The enemy wants you to confuse delay with denial. He wants you to believe God said no, when all God really said was not yet. And the danger is, if you believe that lie, you'll quit before the blessing shows up. When you feel delayed, don't get discouraged. Get disciplined. Use the waiting season to sharpen your skills, grow your faith, and get your house in order. That way, when the opportunity shows up, you're not scrambling. You're ready. Delay doesn't mean abandonment. God has not abandoned you. He hasn't turned His back. He's still writing your story. He's still arranging the right people, the right opportunities, and the right timing. If you learn to embrace the delay, you'll stop wasting time complaining and start using time preparing. Instead of saying, "It hasn't happened yet," you'll say, "When it happens, I'll be ready." That's the mindset that positions you for blessing. Remember, your delay is only a test of your trust. Will you still trust God when you can't see movement? Will you still believe when the answer hasn't arrived? That's what separates people who quit from people who receive. Every delay has a purpose. Maybe God is delaying it because He's protecting you. Maybe He's delaying it because He's aligning it with something bigger. Maybe He's delaying it because He knows you're about to receive more than what you asked for. So when life feels delayed, don't lose hope. Don't give up. Don't let the waiting room make you believe it's over. The delay is not your denial. It's simply your preparation for the blessing that's on its way. God has a blueprint bigger than your vision. You think you know what you want. You've got a vision for your life, a picture in your head of how things should go. But here's the truth. Your vision is limited. It's shaped by what you've seen, what you've experienced, what you believe is possible. God's blueprint, though, is far greater than anything you could ever imagine. The problem with many people is they dream too small. They think in terms of survival, not abundance. They plan for just enough, when God's blueprint includes more than enough. You might be asking for a door, but God is preparing a whole building. Imagine an architect. You might look at a piece of land and see dirt and weeds, but the architect sees a skyscraper. That's how God looks at your life. You see struggles, setbacks, and delays. He sees growth, purpose, and breakthrough. The blueprint God has for you always includes more than what you've asked for. That's why sometimes he doesn't give you what you thought you wanted, because he knows it would have been too small. He's not in the business of shrinking blessings. He's in the business of expanding them. Stop being frustrated when things don't work out according to your plan. It's not rejection, it's redirection. God's blueprint doesn't just consider where you are right now, it factors in where he's taking you. And sometimes where he's taking you is way beyond what you can see. That's why you've got to learn to trust the unseen. You won't always understand why doors close, why people leave, or why opportunities slip away. But when you realize God has a bigger design, you stop panicking and start praising. Your vision might be limited to one street, but God sees the whole city. Your vision might be focused on one job, but God sees the career. Your vision might want one blessing, but God sees generations being blessed through you. Don't insult God by asking too small. Don't lower your expectation just because you're afraid of disappointment. Lift your vision to match his blueprint. If you could see what he has prepared, you'd understand why the wait, the struggle, and the detours are necessary. When you trust his blueprint, you stop fighting for control. You stop asking, why is this happening? And start saying, I know this is part of something bigger. That shift changes everything. It turns your stress into strength. God's blueprint takes into account every mistake you've made, every setback you've faced, every heartbreak you've endured, and still leads you to victory. He didn't cross out your future when you messed up. He just rewrote the plan to still get you there. Sometimes the reason you're frustrated is because you're trying to fit God's blueprint into your box. You're trying to shrink his masterpiece into your comfort zone. That's why it feels like nothing is working, because his design is bigger than your little space. The best thing you can do is surrender your vision for his. Say, Lord, I've got plans, but I know your plan is greater. I've got dreams, but I know your dream for me is bigger. That's when things start aligning. God's blueprint doesn't just build blessings. It builds you. It grows your faith. It stretches your patience. It sharpens your character. Because he's not just interested in giving you something. He's interested in making sure you can keep it once you have it. You may not see the whole blueprint, but you don't have to. All you've got to do is trust the builder. Trust the one who drew the design before you were even born. He's not improvising. He's following a divine plan. So remember this. Your vision is good, but God's blueprint is greater. What you see is small compared to what he's drawing. And when you finally step into it, you'll look back and say, now I understand why it all had to happen this way. Stop trying to control what only God can handle. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing you're not in control of everything. We try so hard to manage every detail, fix every problem, and make every outcome turn out the way we want. But the truth is, some things are simply too big for you to handle. That's where God comes in. You see, stress is usually a sign that you're trying to do God's job. You're trying to carry a load that was never meant for your shoulders. That's why you feel tired, drained, and restless. It's because you're fighting battles that aren't yours to fight. There are problems in your life right now that no amount of worrying, calling, or planning will fix. You can't force people to treat you right. You can't control the economy. You can't dictate the timing of every opportunity, but you can release it to God, who controls all of it. The mistake people make is believing that control equals security. They think, if I can manage everything, I'll finally feel safe. But true security doesn't come from control. It comes from trust. When you let go and trust God, that's when peace shows up. Think about this. Every time you try to control what belongs to God, you limit him. You're saying, Lord, I'll take it from here. And the moment you do that, you step into stress, because now the outcome is resting on your limited ability instead of his unlimited power. Stop trying to figure out every detail. Stop exhausting yourself trying to solve problems that only God can solve. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply say, Lord, I don't know how this will work out, but I trust you with it. The reason you haven't found peace is because you're still holding onto the steering wheel. You're still trying to drive when you were never meant to. Let go of the wheel and let God take the lead. He knows the road better than you do. When you surrender control, you're not giving up. You're going up. You're elevating your situation from your hands to God's hands, and when it's in His hands, it's in the safest, strongest, and most capable place it could ever be. Think about how many nights you've lost sleep worrying about things that worked out anyway. That should tell you something. God was handling it the whole time, even while you were tossing and turning. The truth is, your hands are too small to carry what God is building. Your mind is too limited to understand every detail. That's why He tells you to lean not on your own understanding, but to trust Him completely. Control is an illusion anyway. You never really had control in the first place. You only had choices. And the best choice you can make is to place everything beyond your reach into God's hands. The moment you stop trying to control people, you'll feel lighter. The moment you stop trying to control outcomes, you'll feel freer. The moment you stop trying to control what belongs to God, you'll finally feel peace. Don't mistake surrender for weakness. It's not weak to let go, it's wise. It's powerful. Because when you let go, you're acknowledging that the one who created the universe has more power to fix it than you ever will. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life don't come when you push harder, but when you release faster. When you finally stop trying to fix it and say, God, this is yours. That's when doors open, answers come, and blessings flow. So stop trying to control what only God can handle. Do your part. Yes, work hard, stay disciplined, make wise choices. But once you've done all you can, leave the rest in His hands, because His control is perfect, and yours never will be. Closed doors are God's protection, not rejection. Everybody in life has faced a closed door. Maybe it was a relationship that ended, a job you didn't get, an opportunity that slipped away. In that moment, it feels like rejection. It feels like failure, but in reality, every closed door is God's way of protecting you from something that wasn't meant for you. Closed doors hurt, but they save. You don't see it right away because you're focused on what you lost. But if God allowed it to shut, it wasn't part of your destiny. Some doors look good on the outside, but behind them is pain, betrayal, or disaster. That job you thought you needed, maybe it would have drained you until you lost yourself. That relationship you begged God to save. Maybe it would have broken your spirit. That opportunity that fell apart, maybe it wasn't really an opportunity. It was a trap. Closed doors are not punishments, they're protections. They're God's way of saying, I love you too much to let you walk into that. He can see what you can't. He knows what's waiting on the other side, and sometimes His mercy is in the no. You've got to stop crying over closed doors. Stop pacing in front of them, trying to force them open. If it's closed, let it stay closed. Because if you had the full picture, you'd be thanking God instead of questioning Him. Some of the greatest blessings in life are the things God said no to. Think about that. If He gave you everything you asked for, you'd probably be overwhelmed, hurt, or stuck in something you couldn't handle. His protection is often disguised as disappointment. Don't take rejection personally. It wasn't people that rejected you. It was God that redirected you. That company didn't turn you down. God turned you away from them. That person didn't walk out of your life. God removed them because they couldn't go where you're going. Closed doors create space for the right doors to open. If every door stayed open, you'd never walk through the one designed for you. God closes doors to make sure you don't settle for less when more is waiting. Every no positions you for a better yes. Every closed opportunity is clearing the path for a greater opportunity. What you thought was the end is actually the preparation for a new beginning. Closed doors test your trust. Will you panic, or will you believe that God has something better? Will you keep pounding on the door that's locked, or will you step back and let Him lead you to the one that's open? The truth is, people will reject you, jobs will deny you, opportunities will pass you by. But none of that determines your destiny. Only God does. And if He's closing one thing, it's only because He's opening something better. Sometimes, the very thing you think is rejection is God's greatest act of love. He loved you enough to block that relationship. He loved you enough to shut down that plan. He loved you enough to keep you from settling. Closed doors aren't the end. They are redirection signs. They point you back to where you're supposed to be. You'll only waste time if you keep trying to break in where God has already locked you out. The peace comes when you trust that every closed door is connected to God's bigger plan. You don't have to understand it right away. You just have to believe that His protection is better than your plan. So the next time you face a door that shuts in your face, don't let bitterness rise up. Instead say, "Thank you, Lord, for protecting me from what I couldn't see." Because rejection isn't rejection. It's protection dressed in disguise. When you can't see the way, trust the one who made the way. Life will put you in situations where you don't know where to go next. You'll face crossroads, confusion, and challenges that make you feel blind. You'll ask yourself, how am I supposed to get through this? Where's the path forward? But that's when you have to remember, just because you can't see the way doesn't mean there isn't one. You may not know the map, but you know the maker. You don't have to see every turn when you trust the one who designed the road. He already laid out the route before you even knew there was a journey. Think about driving in the fog. You can't see a mile ahead. You can barely see a few feet, but you still keep moving because you trust that the road continues. That's how faith works. You may not see the whole picture, but you keep moving because you trust the one who created it. Too many people stop moving when they can't see the way. They freeze in fear, they give up too soon, or they let doubt paralyze them. But faith is about movement. Faith is saying, even though I can't see it, I'm still going to step forward. You've got to stop demanding full visibility before you move. If you wait until you see every detail, you'll never take a step. God doesn't show you the whole staircase. He shows you one step at a time. Trust is tested in the dark. It's easy to say you trust when everything is clear, but when the lights go out, when the road disappears, when you can't see past today, that's when real trust kicks in. When you can't see the way, that's the perfect time to lean not on your own understanding. Because your understanding is limited, your vision is small, but His vision is limitless. He sees the beginning and the end all at once. Stop letting uncertainty make you doubt. Just because you don't see how doesn't mean God doesn't know how. He specializes in making a way out of no way. If you've got a Red Sea in front of you, He can split it. If you've got a mountain blocking you, He can move it. Your job is not to figure everything out. It's to keep trusting the one who already has it figured out. That's why He calls Himself the way. He's not just a guide. He is the path. When you can't see the way, remember all the times you couldn't see it before, and He still made it happen. That bill got paid. That sickness got healed. That opportunity came through. If He did it before, why would He stop now? Sometimes the reason you can't see the way is because He doesn't want you distracted. If you saw every detail, you'd try to control it. But when you can't see, you have no choice but to trust. That's where faith grows. The detours, the delays, the confusion, they're all part of the plan. You think you're lost, but really, you're being guided. You think the road ended, but really, it's just turning towards something better. Trusting the Waymaker doesn't mean the journey will always be smooth. It just means you'll never be abandoned. Even in the darkest valley, the one who made the way is walking right beside you. Your responsibility is to keep moving with faith, not sight. You don't need to see the whole path, just the next step. And every time you take a step, God reveals a little more of the way. So when life feels dark, when you're unsure, when the path disappears, don't panic. Don't give up. Trust the one who made the way, because even if you can't see it, he already finished it. Faith turns burdens into blessings. Life will hand you burdens. Weight you never asked for, problems you never saw coming, struggles you didn't sign up for. But here's the secret. When you carry those burdens with faith, they don't crush you, they transform you, they turn into blessings. Faith doesn't mean you'll never face heavy loads. It means the load won't break you because you're not carrying it alone. You've got someone stronger, greater, wiser helping you lift what you can't handle by yourself. Think about the struggles you've already survived. At the time, they felt unbearable. You thought you'd never get through. But now, looking back, you realize those very struggles made you stronger, wiser, and more grateful. That's faith turning burdens into blessings. A burden without faith will drain you, but a burden with faith will build you. It will push you into prayer, it will stretch your trust, it will deepen your character. The same thing that made you cry will later make you testify. Faith has a way of flipping the script. What the enemy meant for harm, God uses for good. What looked like a burden ends up being the very thing that set you up for breakthrough. You may be carrying something heavy right now, a financial weight, a family issue, a personal struggle, and it feels like too much. But if you hold it with faith, God will turn that burden into your blessing. Sometimes the reason He allows the burden is because it's the only thing that will get you to your knees. And when you hit your knees, that's when He can show you His strength. That's when you discover His power. Burdens are not always punishments. Sometimes they're preparation. They prepare you to handle the blessing that's coming. Because if you can't handle the pressure, how will you handle the promise? Faith doesn't just help you carry the burden. It transforms it. It changes how you see it. Instead of saying, "This is killing me," you start saying, "This is growing me." Instead of saying, "Why me?" you start saying, "Thank you, Lord, for using this for me." Every weight you lift in the gym makes you stronger. Every burden you lift in life with faith makes you stronger too. Without weight, there's no growth. Without burdens, there's no breakthrough. That's why you can't run from every struggle. Some burdens are blessings in disguise. They're shaping you, molding you, and positioning you for something greater. Don't despise the burden you're carrying. It may be the very thing that launches you into your destiny. That heavy load may be the bridge to your next blessing. Faith doesn't remove the burden instantly. It redeems it. It takes the pain and turns it into purpose. It takes the tears and turns them into testimony. It takes the struggle and turns it into strength. The key is to keep believing while you're under the weight. Don't let the heaviness convince you it's over. Hold on with faith, because the very thing that feels like it's breaking you is actually building you. So whenever life hands you a burden, don't panic. Lift it with faith. Because faith is the power that turns the heaviest weights of your life into the biggest blessings of your future. God's timing is always right on time. One of the hardest truths to accept is that God's timing is not your timing. We live in a world where people want everything fast food, fast money, fast success. But God doesn't operate on your clock. He moves according to His perfect timing. The frustration comes when you expect Him to move instantly, and He doesn't. You pray, you wait, and you wonder, why is it taking so long? But what feels like a delay to you is perfect alignment to Him. God's timing is never late. He's not scrambling to figure things out. He's not caught off guard by your situation. He already knows the exact moment the breakthrough will arrive. Sometimes He withholds the blessing because the season isn't right yet. You might be ready to receive, but the environment isn't ready to sustain it. And if He gave it too soon, it could destroy you instead of develop you. Timing is everything. Think about fruit. You can't eat it before it's ripe. If you bite too early, it's bitter. But if you wait for the right season, it's sweet. The same thing applies to blessings. Early blessings can be bitter, but on-time blessings are perfect. You've got to trust the waiting process. The waiting isn't wasted. It's working. While you're waiting, He's preparing the blessing, preparing the people, and preparing you. God doesn't just prepare blessings for you. He prepares you for blessings, because a blessing in the wrong season can feel like a burden. He loves you too much to let that happen. Think about all the things you thought you wanted years ago. If He had given them to you then, you wouldn't have been ready. You wouldn't have had the maturity, the strength, or the wisdom to handle them. That's why His timing saved you. Trusting His timing means letting go of your deadlines. Stop telling God it has to happen by next week. He doesn't operate on your calendar. He operates on eternity, and eternity is always on schedule. While you're waiting, don't waste time complaining. Use that time to prepare, grow, and get stronger. The waiting room is where faith is built. It's where patience is shaped. It's where character is refined. The truth is, most people quit right before the timing is about to align. They walk away too soon, but those who endure, those who trust, those who stay faithful, they're the ones who see the reward. God's timing will always line up with His purpose. If He promised it, it will happen. Not too early, not too late, exactly on time. When it finally happens, you'll understand why it took so long. You'll look back and realize He was protecting you, positioning you, and setting everything up for your good. That's why you can't compare your journey to someone else's. Their timing is not your timing. Their season is not your season. When it's your time, nothing can stop it. So stop stressing about the clock. Stop panicking about the calendar. God's timing is always right on time, and when it arrives, it'll be better, bigger, and more beautiful than anything you ever planned for yourself. Life will always give you reasons to worry. The bills, the delays, the closed doors, the unknown paths, those things will always be there. But here's the truth, worry has never changed a thing, but faith changes everything. When you choose to trust God, when you choose to lean on Him instead of your own strength, something shifts. Peace shows up, strength rises, hope returns. Every burden you've carried, every tear you've cried, every sleepless night, it was never wasted. God was using it all to shape you, to grow you, to prepare you. The delays weren't denials, they were setups. The closed doors weren't rejection, they were protection. And the timing that felt so frustrating, it was perfect alignment. The reason you're still standing today is because God has already been making a way. Even when you couldn't see it, He was working. Even when you felt forgotten, He was fighting for you. Even when you thought it was over, He was just getting started. So from this moment forward, stop letting worry drain you. Stop trying to control what only God can handle. Stop crying over doors He already closed. Instead, choose faith. Choose trust. Choose to believe that the same God who carried you this far is the same God who will finish what He started. Because when you stop worrying and start trusting, you put your life in the hands of the one who never fails. And He will not only make a way, He'll make a way that's bigger, better, and more beautiful than anything you could ever imagine. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, and walk forward in faith. Don't worry about the how, the when, or the where. Just trust the who. And when it's all said and done, you'll look back at your life and say with confidence, God made a way for me.